In our lead story, Iranians went to the polls Friday to choose a new leader. The election pits incumbent President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad against three main candidates. More than 46 million people are eligible to cast their ballots at polling stations that could stay open until midnight in case of a high voter turnout. Police have taken strict security measures at those stations to prevent any possible outbreak in violence. According to Iran's election law, any candidate who gains 50% of the vote plus one will win. If no winner emerges in the first round, the top two candidates will contest in a runoff vote 1 week later. Let's stay with our stories. We just said more than 45,000 polling stations around Iran opened early on Friday as Iranians voted on whether to keep hardline President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad in office for 4 more years. Leaders also cast their votes early in the day. Li Qiong has that.
In keeping with tradition, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei placed his ballot just minutes after the polls opened. Khamenei, who has the final say in all state matters, urged Iranians to vote early and in a peaceful manner.
Any intention will harm people and it will harm their votes. If there are some who want to create this tension, do not let them.
Iran's incumbent President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad cast his vote at a mosque in the Absaria district of southern Tehran on Friday morning. Speaking outside the polling center afterwards, Ahmadinejad thanked his supporters.
I cordially thank the great Iranian nation for all their goodness, magnanimity, and sacrifices. I am sure that people's participation will open the way for bigger works and enlightened movements ahead for the Iranian nation.
Ahmadinejad is in a neck-and-neck battle with Mir Hossein Mousavi, who also cast his ballot along with his wife. Mousavi vowed to monitor the election process until the end of voting.
The important point is that I have promised people their votes will be secure. My campaign and I will remain awake until the end of the voting, and we demand the election executives keep the votes safe.
Other presidential candidates also cast their ballots on Friday morning, but the polls suggest only Ahmadinejad and Mousavi have a real chance. Voter turnout expected to be high, a factor some say could help sway the vote in favor of Mousavi. Li Qiong, CCTV.
Turn to other news. Voting has started in polling stations across Iran in the country's presidential election. Conservative and the reformist camps square off against one another. Analysts say this year's presidential race is likely the most tense political event that the country has ever experienced. Li Xiang takes a look at the final push by the hopefuls and their supporters before the polls opened.
The color of green signifies support for Mir Hossein Mousavi. Many of these people believe only Mousavi can bring change to the Islamic Republic.
Mousavi is not just what we want, but he is better than other candidates, and he can at least change the situation.
I definitely vote to Mr. Mir Hossein Mousavi because he's going to come and change this horrible situation, this horrible condition, because we are in a situation that we are going to lose everything.
Once Prime Minister and now leading reformist presidential candidate, Mousavi says he hasn't changed in his 20 years absence from politics.
I will be committed to my major slogans such as supporting the poor. I'm still the same Mir Hossein of the early years of the revolution. I understand the new situation, and that is why I entered this seat.
Mousavi's main rival is current President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad.
We have precise information that Mousavi and the reformists believe in their defeat and the nation is against them and they are beaten. They want to create tension. I call on the nation to keep calm.
Despite fierce rhetoric against the U.S. and Israel during his 4 years in power, some still believe the hardline leader has gained respect for the country.
I'll vote for Ahmadinejad. He defended Iran. No administration has done this. He gave us pride. He told us there's nowhere like Iran. He crushed Israel. The U.S. is bowing down to us.
The other candidates are in the race. One of them is former Revolutionary Guard commander Mosseh Razaei. The other is former Parliament Speaker Maad Karoubi. Analysts say their level of support could play a swing role in elections. Razaei is expected to draw conservative voters, and Karoubi pulling in moderates. Lisa, CCTV.
And in this year's Iranian presidential election, conservatives are pitted against reformists, and the frontrunners are the incumbent Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and the former Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi. Iranians will decide whether to stay the conservative course or elect a moderate reformist. Bao Ying reports.
Election fever grips Iran. 4 candidates are standing for election, but polls suggest only the incumbent Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and former Prime Minister Mir Hossein Mousavi have a real chance. The two are facing off in an unprecedented series of debates.
Truly, when it comes to foreign relations, we have altered our country's reputation and have damaged it. We have shamed our country, and this has hurt us.
I'm not fighting against one candidate. I'm standing against a combination led by Rafsanjani and with the cooperation of Mousavi and Khatami.
The two leading contenders have little in common. Mousavi is backed by Tehran's educated urban elite. The majority of Ahmadinejad's socially conservative supporters live in the countryside. Mousavi says he will hold talks with major powers on the nuclear issue, something Ahmadinejad has ruled out. Ahmadinejad has also been blamed by his challengers for soaring inflation and unemployment.
The election comes at a time when the financial crisis has spread across the globe and oil prices have dropped sharply. Ahmadinejad didn't fulfill his promise of reviving the economy, and that has become his main weakness. Yet, he's gained some ground in pushing forward the nuclear development.
Iran's relations with the U.S. is one of the key issues in the election. As the U.S. President Barack Obama has made moves to reach out to Iran, Iran's next leader will help determine the country's response.
The result of the Iranian election holds the key to the future development of Iranian-U.S. relations. Iran's interaction with the U.S. is directly linked to the outcome of the election. A new Iranian government may provide a better platform for Iranian-U.S. relations. And if Ahmadinejad gets a second term, the possibility also exists that he will make some adjustments to his policy.
Analysts say within the Islamic system of Iran, the power of the president is far more limited than in countries like the U.S. But a reformist or conservative victory would certainly make a big difference in the course Iran will take. Bao Ying, CCTV.